Welcome to the Real Pros of DC. Each week we interview some of the DC metro area's top professionals and discuss topics related to this unique real estate market. I'm your host, William McCoy, and this is the Real Pros of DC. Welcome to the Real Pros of DC, where we interview some of the DC metro area's top professionals. Today we have on our show Jay from ZenLense, our co-hosts Taylor, Amanda, and Paul. Jay, great to have you on the show today, man. How are you doing?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Good, man. You guys have a lot of cool things going on with photography and 360 and drones and all that other kind of stuff that we love to hear about in real estate. Tell us, how did ZenLense come to be, and how you got this started?
Sure. It started in 2013 when I had to sell my house. Right before that, I had a house fire, so that's when all the house drama began. So basically got a new house after the house fire, and then got laid off from my full-time job. So then had to sell the house just to be on the safe side. Right. That's when the photographer that came in and shot the house sparked some interest. I noticed he had I have an art background, so I knew the equipment that he did bring was very professional. So I was impressed by that, and just by the fact that you could do this full time was interesting.
So you started it yourself then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So after I lost my job, I was freelancing from home, doing more design work, graphic design work,
cool.
And web work, and I found that I was getting outbid on a lot of projects online just because of the nature of the business. You know, you can outsource it for pennies on the dollar.
Yeah.
So I was getting frustrated by that, and I remembered when I sold my house that, you know, that was possibly a career choice for me. So I slowly started to integrate real estate photography, worked on my brand for, I guess, 2 years. In my spare time. So
Jay, tell me about this Zillow Cert and the Google Cert. What do these mean? I know they mean something. I see them all the time on certain photographers, usually high end. What does that mean?
It means that you're approved by those vendors and certified. You submit your work, and if it's up to their standards, then you get approved and certified for that.
Very cool. So you're approved by the big dogs, huh?
Yes, sir. So I can do 360 tours and video walkthroughs. For the video walkthroughs, if you're Zillow certified, you actually have more flexibility with the files. So typically, say if an agent wanted to shoot their own video, they could. Of course, the quality would be different with a smartphone versus a professional camera.
Right.
But so I could use professional wider angle lens on my camera. I can also add branding to the walkthrough video. So I can do, you know, address, your broker, contact info, email, for the first 15 seconds and last 15 seconds.
Cool.
And then I can also, if you need to update or modify the video, we can edit and then re-upload.
Oh, okay. Very cool.
A lot more flexibility with the videos.
With the Zillow.
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
And then 360?
Oh.
Did you want to talk about that more?
No, because then that's commercial, right?
No, the 360 rollout.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about the 360 rollout.
So next year, Zillow plans on rolling out 360 tours built into their property listing website.
Okay.
So right now you have the play button for the virtual walkthrough tour. There will be an additional one for the 360 tour, so stay tuned. More info on that for next year.
That sounds great, man. I can't wait to see that.
How did you market it yourself, like in the beginning, or was it all referral?
It was not referral because I had nobody to refer me. It was really
the beginning's the best part. Yeah.
A lot of fishing, you know. I put a bunch of lines out. I was on Zillow looking at real estate agents and reached out, even though you're not supposed to reach out to them unless you want to buy a house. I did anyway.
Yeah.
And try to kind of.
You gotta drum up business.
I was gonna say that seems like a good strategy to me. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I did that. Got some contacts there. Then I was just, you know, offering free work.
Oh wow.
And then just to get my feet wet, since I didn't have any professional experience in real estate photography, but I had an interest in trying to learn how to create that perfect image.
Okay.
I think that's safe to say with anything I do, or someone that's passionate about their career, they try to make it the best. Doesn't matter how long it's going to take.
Yeah.
So was your first shoot or big project residential, commercial, and kind of where did it land?
Residential. Yeah.
Do you do mostly residential, or how does that?
Mostly residential.
Okay.
On occasion, I get commercial works for, I don't just do, larger properties. I've done warehouses and, commercial businesses like fitness clubs as well. So it doesn't,
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you. What are the differences between like the commercial and the residential when it comes to photography?
I say just, customer foot traffic for a commercial property. You just have to keep that in mind. So you might have to get there extra early.
Oh, because obviously they can't shut down the business, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, is the equipment you have to bring any bigger for commercial? I don't know. You think commercial, you think bigger. Like, I don't know.
Not so much. I'm a one man kind of operation. So, and it all fits in one nice small backpack as well. So I'm kind of, you have to be mindful of, that I don't want to tote a whole bunch of gear to every shoot, and I'm always on my feet, so everything has to be somewhat lightweight. I don't want a big, gigantic camera that I sweat.
Right.
Is it important to have the house clean, or even a commercial space clean, or is it important to stage it?
So I've worked on a wide range of properties, whether it be vacant, dirty, small, big, messy. So I like to, definitely work with the client. If it's a residential, I'll help tidy up.
Oh, okay.
Property.
A little bit extra service, huh?
Yeah,
Nice. Nice.
I feel like I go above and beyond. So I don't get there and say.
He knows what real estate's all about.
It is
You
as
gotta
it
love
is.
the Call of
All about
Duty
presentation.
sometimes.
I feel like a little bit of dirt doesn't really show in the photos, but
It doesn't. You don't have to be, I'm not going to notice the dust on a countertop or the little teeny specks, but windows are definitely a big thing. They should be clean. Taken out, like a little tip is to take out the screens if you can, because you get a better view.
Yeah.
Right.
If it's a good view, if you want to see the view, then
What
that's.
equipment do you generally use then to do that?
My equipment is Fuji film. I started with Canon.
Okay.
So more, popular brand. Everybody knows Canon, Nikon, but Fujifilm's kind of a, I don't know, a less popular brand for photography. But they have, it's not, you have a full frame camera, then you have a crop sensor camera.
What does that crop sensor mean?
So full frame is like traditional 35 millimeter. So it's,
Okay.
and then what they did was they reduced the sensor size.
Okay.
And made the cameras smaller and the
Gotcha.
lenses smaller because of the smaller sensor. So I went that route because I also do video work, and with the camera on a gimbal, if you're gonna carry that around, you can get more creative if you don't have a ton of weight that you have to hold. So more creative angles, I can hold it, I can stretch out and do kind of more dynamic movements instead of like 10-pound weight. I would get tired after a while. So just one camera that can do both video and photography. So that's the advantage of doing that, using a crop sensor camera.
Sure.
So is that kind of a value proposition then that you offer? You're a one-man band, so I'm sure that kind of cuts down on costs, and then you have a camera that does video and photography. So, I guess what's the benefit of doing drone service like you have to offer versus someone coming in doing staging, photos, and then a video, and how do you sell yourself?
Good question. I think my portfolio kind of sells myself.
Beautiful portfolio, by the way. I love the site.
Thank you.
The way it's set up.
So I actually started out at the Watergate in DC, so a big chunk of my initial
Not a
portfolio.
shabby place.
Yeah, so there's a lot of very upscale, wide range of like modern to contemporary, and so there's a wide range of styles there, and they go all out as far as the views as well. So
That's awesome place to hone the skills, right?
yeah,
You
so
guys
I think portfolio is important. I think that I spent so much time with my background in design and branding, that definitely helped having a professional appearance on
for sure, yeah.
online. Definitely helped sell my products as well.
This is random, but what's your opinion on like a fisheye lens versus then like a regular lens?
So
Interesting.
fisheye you would not want for traditional real estate photography because of the distortion.
Okay.
Okay, everything is going to bend. Your straight
Sure.
lines
Let that be
aren't.
known.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, let it-
Right.
So
Do
real
you ever,
estate-
do you ever
use
use it
it.
or no?
Yes. So fisheye I use for 360 photos.
Which are what?
Yeah.
So if most agents are familiar with Matterport, so you can kind of step through a property. I personally don't like Matterport just because
Neither do
you can
I.
do
You were
so
just
much.
we were having this
Yeah,
conversation.
I don't like it. It makes
some people
me
like it, some
dizzy.
people don't.
A lot of
right?
people, I think, when
Yeah.
they start looking at it, if you look at how long they'll look at a Matterport versus click through photos,
Yeah.
they'll sit on Matterport for a much shorter period of time. And maybe you can elaborate on that. It
Sure.
seems like you feel the same.
I'm the same way. I'll take about 10 steps and then get tired of it.
Yeah,
And it just
hurts
doesn't
your
impress
eyes.
me. I mean, it's kind of cool because you kind of zoom and it kind of feels like 3D where you step forward and it kind of, I don't know, it feels like a 3D virtual tour.
I
but
do. I love that
get-
feature
I
of it,
get
honestly.
tired
I
Yeah.
love the
after a
fact that
while.
you kind of like
It's
step through.
like
But
Google
yeah,
Streets kind
but
of,
I saw
yeah.
you guys have like this really cool 360. Tell us more about that 360 like view.
So the 360, bouncing back to Matterport, it's the same philosophy.
Right.
So Matterport has several lenses on the camera, so it can capture everything. I think it rotates at each point.
Yep, it does.
So,
Hence the dizziness. maybe.
but they have
Yeah,
other
I don't know.
cameras.
Yes.
They have lots of consumer cameras that have 2 lenses. The problem with those is that you have stitching issues. So,
Okay.
you know, that seam on the edge,
Right.
it does its best to blend it, but
Yeah.
there's always going to be an
That
issue
shift,
there.
right, yeah.
Matterport, you see the same thing where lines don't join properly, so it, it doesn't look right. So I have going back to the lenses, I have a fisheye lens, and that's what you want to use for 360 tours.
Okay.
So similar to photography, I can pick and choose the best shot in the room for the 360 that maximizes the point of view for that specific point. So if you're doing a kitchen, you kind of want to aim up and capture the surrounding. So I'm more particular and more careful about each shot.
Right.
So with the 360 photography, I can make that perfect image. I can post-process it
Yeah.
perfectly, make sure the colors are right, make sure the stitching is perfect. There's
Very
no
cool.
weird seams or broken seams. And then I can take that and I can create a 360 tour
Okay.
that you can embed on your website or you can showcase on your virtual tour
Very cool.
website.
There you go. That's another
But-
option, right? To the Matterport, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
better
that's
option.
awesome.
So you
Yeah.
don't- and you can take those and they're great for social media too. On Facebook, as you scroll through the feed, you'll see the 360 tour rotate as you scroll.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can use those individually in social media. You can do a full tour. You can be selective and just pick 5 of your best for your virtual tour website.
Cool.
as
So
well.
something I'm really interested in. I saw that you guys do drones. I haven't had you do a
Very
drone on
cool.
one of my properties yet, but tell me about this drone and how it's evolved and when it does come in, because I know there's some issues. We were just talking about it backstage when it comes to drones. Tell us about that.
Sure, there's DC areas restricted as far as drone flights go. So
Okay.
there's not a lot that I shoot. I do shoot out, in the Shenandoah area as
Right,
well. So
right.
that's where you're going to maximize, an aerial shot where the surroundings deem an aerial shot worthy.
And they're beautiful.
You know,
My gosh,
Yeah.
when there's
Yeah.
land and
yeah,
Yeah.
body of water, mountains,
Sometimes they look
wooded
awful from
areas.
there.
Do you
Yeah.
get
if
a
have
lot
pool,
of requests
Yeah.
for it, or no? Is it mostly
it's
because
pretty rare. I'd
DC
say
restrictions?
Yeah,
Okay.
a handful.
Where can you start shooting with the drone? So how far away from the city?
Forget the radius, but it's just outside the Beltway.
You can start shooting.
Yeah, and then airports, you have restrictions as well, of course.
course.
Have you ever droned the inside of a home? Is that not advisable? I just want.
You could.
Has to be a pretty big home, right?
Yeah, I'm sure you could shoot an entire property with the drone if you wanted to, but the quality wouldn't be there.
I mean, is the
Gotcha.
purpose of
Yeah.
a drone really to just get the air, like for a property that has expansive land, or just you know, something.
Right.
Yeah,
need
you want
to
to
see it
showcase
big
the
time.
land.
Gotcha.
So it's really no use, or just
Right.
keep it
Does it add
simple with the
value
video
for
camera.
residential, I guess?
And yeah.
It does, but yeah, it just depends on the surroundings of your property. So if you have a pool, or if you have a magnificent view near the water,
like you said, a
yeah,
lake or something like that.
mountain
Yeah, you
view.
tricked me on the site one time. I thought that you were shooting like the inside of a property. I remember saying this to you with a drone, but explain to me what you were doing, because it's like you were hovering over the table, and then you did a spin. Was that with the 360 and then I guess what did you call it, a giblet or?
It's not a giblet. It's
Okay.
it's a gimbal.
Gimbal.
Gimbal. There you go. See.
You're in Thanksgiving mode.
Right. I know. Oh, God. Hungry.
I was like, wait.
Right.
So a gimbal stabilizes your movements.
Gotcha.
So it looks like you're floating. It looks like
Yeah.
a drone. It looks like you're doing an aerial shot. If you're good at it, I've seen. I think you have to be somewhat adventurous with a gimbal.
Right.
I see a lot of they call them walkthroughs, but it's just them doing pans.
Okay.
Just like from left to
yeah,
right.
right.
And they may do like a rail shot where it's on, on a 5-foot rail, and they can just slide it. But gimbal, you have to watch your footsteps. You have to know the angles. Get creative. I mean,
Yeah, those are really
get
cool.
some detail shots. And, yeah.
Do you have an opinion on like best lighting and best angles?
For video walkthroughs?
No, more for just still like photos and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I have an idea of what shots I need for a property, a residential property.
Like
I've done
what's
it so many
ideal
times.
lighting outside rather than bringing in lighting?
Just a sunny day. Not.
So not an overcast day, because I've heard that too.
Yeah, I mean, you want the sun to be as high as possible because you don't want sunlight coming into the room.
Okay.
Because it's harder to balance. So with real estate photography, you're trying to balance the indoor lighting with the outdoor. So that way you can see what's outside. So they call it the window pops, or I forget the term, but I use strobes for my photography. So that essentially brings up the lighting inside to match the outside, which is much brighter. You also get better color. You can get more creative. So there's all sorts of different techniques for real estate photography. You have the standard, which is like HDR. So you take 3 shots over and underexposed. Then you have HDR plus 1 flash shot, and they call it flash fusion. A lot of vendors do. And then I do all strobes and 1 ambient shot. So you want to get the natural lighting.
Gotcha, natural. Okay.
But with the strobes, you can you can create more detail because you can control the lighting. So you'll see more texture in photos, better color. It's just a better, higher quality shot.
Gotcha.
And then you don't have any issues with mixed colors.
Gotcha.
So when you have like fluorescent lights, I'm sure you've all noticed, they give off, purple or blue.
Bluish light.
hue.
Intense hue, yeah.
Tungsten is, the
Right.
warmer brown. So if you have all these different bulbs, which a lot of homes do, and you shoot ambient as it is, you'll see these. With your naked eye, you might not catch it, but in the photograph, it'll look that way.
Man, who knew went so much into photography?
Right.
When they,
Yeah.
I mean, we all know the importance of photography
Oh,
as far as selling, right?
So important.
But we didn't know, like, I know I didn't know how much you guys put into this. Mark, Jay, tell me something. What makes ZenLense a differentiator when it comes to, because we understand the importance of photography, but what makes you guys a differentiator in the market when it comes to photography?
I say the quality of the final product, attention to detail. We talked a little bit about my philosophy as far as making the best shot possible. So I help out with clients and give them staging advice, move things around. I've dealt with clients that weren't ready, and I was patient and let them juggle around furniture and their kids' stuff.
Nice.
And so I'm flexible. You get me 99.5% of the time since I'm a startup more or less.
Yeah.
But I think I've developed a good brand and I have a good portfolio, and I think
Yeah, the
my
portfolio's
attention to
amazing.
detail for all these.
And the knowledge,
For all
the wealth
the-
of knowledge that you have, man, is
Thank you.
amazing.
So I think I think all those things make me unique. I think some people want just a budget, cheap, quick, and But
you get what you pay
point
for.
is,
You
yeah,
definitely
I
get
mean,
what
you
you
want to
pay
sell your
for.
property for maximum value.
Yeah.
Right.
And speaking of that, I mean, we all know as realtors and, as someone who's in the industry in capacity, how important good photos are. But
Very
we come
important.
across clients, sellers, buyers all the time that are like, I took great photos on my own, or I did this. I guess in a nutshell, in a sentence or two, what would you say? What's the benefit of hiring somebody to take really good quality photos?
Great question.
Higher asking price. Bidding wars.
More showings.
Yeah.
Definitely more
Selling
showings.
faster sale.
Exactly. I mean, all
Less
things
than a
that we
week.
know, but this is exactly the benefit.
Couple days.
guys.
Yeah.
I mean, it's better photos get
Photos are
people
everything.
through the door.
Absolutely.
Spend a
Yeah,
couple
absolutely.
hundred.
You got to get them in. It sells online first a lot of times. People want to see it online, and then that'll get them there.
How much time do you spend per home photographing? How much time do you well,
Typical
budget?
house,
Yeah.
typical single-family house. So this is something I've gone back and forth on because the industry standard is square footage, which there's some validity to that. I mean, yeah, bigger properties, smaller properties, but once you get super creative and you know the shots and you spend time getting the right shot, typically it's 3 to 4 hours for both photo and video.
So
And then it's about,
regardless of size, it's 3 to 4 hours probably.
for a single family home, so we're talking about 3 to 4 bedroom
Okay.
townhouse or home. Condos will go quicker, but then you got amenities, so you have pools, so it's kind of a wash there, but a little bit quicker, especially if you have just one bedroom. 3 to 4 hours on site, and then double that for post-production editing.
What is the turnaround for the post-production? I know that's a big thing.
2 to 3 days
Okay.
is typical. That time is increased just because, excuse me, I've been so busy and I've been taking on too much work. So that,
Are you looking to
that
add
window's
anybody?
I was
been
going to say, like,
expanding.
how many projects do you do in a week?
Yeah.
I was going to say how many in a day.
It just varies. I try to stack as much as
That's
possible.
right.
I'm
It's
finding
decent.
a break,
Grind
there's
it
a
out.
breaking
Grind it out,
point.
yeah.
Right.
What's the maximum you'll shoot in one day?
I was doing 2 to 3. I've done
wow.
longer shoots where I've done condos at a complex. I've done 10 to 12.
Oh my
Wow.
gosh.
But that's
And
in
that
one
was
building,
that-
hopefully.
Shoots in a day or units?
Yeah, units.
Oh.
But
Okay.
they were small and they were identical, so I
Okay.
kind of had a system. But it is work,
Wow.
and it's a long
Yeah.
day on your feet.
Absolutely.
So-
So whenever I take a photo with my friends, we always go up. Is that true, or is that like a fallacy? Like, does the angle of coming up better for furniture or like a building, or do you go straight on?
That's a good question.
Or it's all
Selfies,
about
it's
lighting.
great. I think
Right,
it,
or does it
I think
matter?
it's-
It's all about the light.
I think it applies to
what
real
you're
estate
Filters.
too, because you don't want. So when you
Filter
look at a photo, you'll see photos that have so much ceiling, and there's nothing on the ceiling that you care about.
Right.
Sometimes it's just a whitewash. So they have a specialized lens, and going back to the first when I had to sell my house, the professional photographer had a big lens, and I knew what it was because I have good knowledge of photographic equipment.
Yeah, obviously.
So it was a Canon 17 tilt shift.
Okay.
So I knew the lens itself was like $2,500.
Expensive.
So what that lens does, and shift lenses do, is that you can actually change the composition so the camera's going to stay put on the tripod, and then the lens is actually shifting down. So you're going to get less of the ceiling without actually pointing the camera down. So
okay.
you want to keep your line straight,
Right.
right?
Right.
So that solves that issue, because when you point down, you're going to have perspective.
Gotcha.
So it's
I mean,
Little
from
things
what
like
I'm
that,
hearing
knowing.
too, it's like for the cost of these equipment and
That's what I was gonna
all the time. I mean, the price point, whatever it may be, you're getting quality work. I mean,
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
if there's anything that we're learning from you today,
How much have you spent on your own equipment? Of like what you currently have, not like throughout your career.
currently, I don't know, 5 to 10,
5 to 10. Okay.
I'd
Right.
say, the
Okay.
ballpark. But it's a learning experience because you don't know what kind of works together. So you buy and sell and find the perfect setup. So I think I'm finally there.
Yeah. Well, great. It's been great having you on this show, Jay. We really appreciate you coming in. Tell people how to get in contact with you, Jay.
Sure. You can go to my website, ZenLense.com.
Okay.
And you can do bookings, see portfolio samples, and reach out to me. Online chat, too.
Okay.
Guys, please check out that portfolio. The portfolio is amazing. Drones, 360, all the best photography you'll see. Good. Well, that's been our show. I'm your host, William McCoy, with the Real Pros of DC. Thanks for having us. See you next time. Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Real Pros of DC. Have a real estate topic you would like us to discuss? Go to www.therealprosofdc.com and submit your idea and see footage of the show. See you next time.